The sky over Alindra glowed with colors no human eye could imagine. Shades of violet and silver danced across the horizon, reflecting off the crystal towers of the alien city. Princess Lyra stood on the highest balcony of the royal palace, her eyes scanning the vast expanse. She had trained her whole life for this moment, the moment she would lead her people, the strongest and most advanced civilization in this part of the galaxy. Lyra's armor gleamed in the twilight, intricate patterns etched into the metal like a living work of art. Her long hair shimmered with strands of bioluminescent blue, flowing like a river of light in the gentle wind. She was proud, confident, and certain nothing could threaten her world. "Princess," her advisor Kale said softly, bowing. "The sensors have detected unknown ships approaching the outer border." Lyra turned to him, her expression calm. "Unknown ships? Let me see the data." She took the holographic display, her glowing fingers tracing the moving dots on the map. There were only a few ships, small, weak-looking blips compared to the massive fleets Alindra could easily destroy. "They are likely scouts," Kale warned. "But Princess, humans are unpredictable. We should prepare for anything." Lyra smiled faintly, almost amused. "Humans? A small scout unit? Kale, we are Alindrans. We have ruled this sector for centuries. One tiny human unit is nothing. I will lead a squadron myself and show them the power of our fleet." Kyle hesitated, but he knew arguing with Lyra was futile. Her pride, matched only by her skill, made her determined to face any challenge herself. Hours later, Lyra's fleet approached the coordinates where the human ships had been detected. The humans appeared as small specks in the distance, almost insignificant. Yet there was something strange in the way they moved. Coordinated, precise, and deliberate. Lyra tilted her head. "They are moving in formation. For such a small group, they are very organized." "Perhaps too organized," Kyle murmured. "Do not doubt them," Lyra said firmly, her voice steady. "We will strike, and this will be over quickly." The battle began. Lasers and energy blasts lit the dark space like fireworks. Alindran ships moved with elegance, firing devastatingly accurate shots. Yet the humans did not panic. They dodged, maneuvered, and returned fire in ways Lyra had not expected. She felt a flicker of unease. How could such a small unit hold against her fleet's superior technology? Still, she pushed the thought aside. Confidence was her weapon, as much as her fleet. The battle raged on for what felt like hours, though in space, time was a strange thing. Lyra's ship surrounded the human scouts, closing in from all sides. Explosions rocked the void, debris floating between the combatants like stars torn from the sky. Finally, Lyra ordered a final strike. A massive energy pulse designed to wipe out the entire human unit in one blow. She pressed the command and watched as the pulse raced toward the enemy. Then, nothing. The energy pulse passed through the humans, scattering harmlessly around them. Lyra's eyes widened in shock. She could not believe what she was seeing. The humans had survived a strike that should have destroyed them instantly. Kale's voice trembled. "Princess, these ships, they are not just surviving, they are adapting." Lyra's pride faltered. Fear pricked at her heart. How could this be possible? Humans were supposed to be weak, untrained, primitive. Yet here they were, dodging, surviving, and even pushing back. Then the sensors confirmed it. The humans were only a scout unit. That's all they were. Not a fleet, not reinforcements. Just a small, fragile group. Lyra staggered back, almost losing her balance. It was only a scout unit?" she whispered, horror in her voice. "All this time we fought just this?" Kale placed a hand on her shoulder. "Princess, we underestimated them. This changes everything. If such a small unit can challenge us, what will a full fleet do?" Lyra's mind raced. Pride, embarrassment, and fear collided inside her. She had believed humans were nothing. She had thought her confidence and skill alone were enough to face any threat. And now, she realized how dangerous that arrogance had been. Outside, the human ships moved calmly, almost tauntingly. They did not celebrate. They did not panic. They simply waited, watching, learning as if they already knew something Lyra had yet to understand. The princess clenched her fists. Her fleet was still intact, but her mind could not stop thinking. These humans were clever, brave, dangerous in ways Alindra had never experienced. Her voice was low, almost a whisper, but firm. "We will prepare. This is far from over. I will not make the same mistake twice." Kale nodded. "Yes, princess, but be careful. Underestimating humans could cost us more than pride. It could cost lives." Lyra turned her gaze back to the stars. Somewhere out there, the humans were waiting, tiny yet fearless, ready to challenge the mightiest civilization in the galaxy. And in that moment, Lyra understood. The calm before the storm was over. The real test had just begun, and she would need all her skill, all her courage, and perhaps even a little luck, to survive what was coming next. The stars were silent witnesses as Princess Lyra's fleet moved cautiously through the outer rim of Alindra's territory. Every pilot was on high alert. The humans had shown courage and intelligence beyond anything Lyra had expected. Now, she needed to see them up close. "Princess," Kyle said, scanning the radar. "The scouts are still ahead. They are small but precise. Their formations are perfect, almost as if they know our every move." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "Then we will show them why Alindra does not fear small ships. Prepare the strike squadron. I will lead it myself." Her ships surged forward, slicing through the darkness. The human scouts were barely visible, little sparks against the vast black of space, but Lyra could sense their discipline. Every movement, every maneuver, was calculated. "Interesting," Kale muttered. "They don't scatter. They don't panic. They just wait." Lyra's pulse quickened. "We will not wait. We strike now." The first shots were fired. Energy beams streaked across the void, hitting targets with deadly precision. Lyra's squadron moved in perfect harmony, their attacks synchronized. Small human ships darted like shadows, dodging and weaving with surprising speed. "Impossible!" Lyra gasped as a beam passed inches from her own ship, narrowly missing her wing. "They're too fast. How can such small ships move like this?" Kyle's voice trembled over the comms. "Princess, their tactics. They are studying us. They know our patterns. Every move we make, they respond." Lyra's pride burned. No human should outthink an Alindran fleet. They are clever, but not enough. Focus fire. The squadron unleashed a barrage of energy pulses. Explosions erupted across the battlefield. For a moment, it seemed the humans would finally break. Then, with a shocking maneuver, the humans split into smaller formations, circling and striking from unexpected angles. Lyra's ships found themselves dodging not only attacks but collisions with their own allies. This is chaos," Kale shouted. "They're turning our strength against us." Lyra's hands moved with speed and precision, guiding her ship through the melee. "Keep control. Don't let them scare you." But fear had already begun to creep in. Every human ship that survived seemed smarter than the last. They were small, yes, almost fragile, but their tactics were perfect. Hours seemed to pass in the chaos of battle. Lasers and explosions lit the dark sky like fireworks. Yet even with all her skill and all her fleet's power, Lyra could not predict the humans' next moves. And then she saw it, the moment that changed everything. A tiny human craft approached her flagship, moving straight through her defensive grid. Its speed and precision were impossible, its path deadly accurate. Lyra's heart pounded. They're aiming for me?" Kyle's voice was barely audible. "Princess, that is suicidal. They must be stopped." Lyra gritted her teeth. "I will stop them myself." Her ship fired multiple energy pulses. The human craft dodged every shot, moving like liquid through space. Lyra felt a flicker of fear. No Alindran pilot had ever survived such precision before. Then, just as suddenly as it had approached, the human scout veered away, leaving a trail of light behind it. Lyra watched it escape unharmed. She stared at the readouts in disbelief. How can they survive this? They should be destroyed. Kale shook his head. Princess, we are facing something new, something dangerous. They are humans, but they are exceptional. Lyra's mind raced. Pride and anger collided with a strange new feeling. Fear. She had always been confident in Alindra's superiority. She had always believed no human, no matter how clever, could challenge her, and yet here they were, a tiny scout unit, standing against her entire squadron and surviving. She clenched her fists. This is not over. I underestimated them. I will not make that mistake again. Kale nodded gravely. Princess, if this small unit is this skilled, imagine what a full human fleet could do. Lyra turned her gaze to the stars where the humans had disappeared. We need to know more. Send scouts. Track them. Every move they make, we will know it. And next time we will be ready. The fleet regrouped, battered but intact. The humans were gone, leaving only empty space and a growing sense of dread in Lyra's heart. The princess whispered to herself, almost a warning. We only fought a scout unit, and yet they almost defeated us. What will happen when the real humans come? The stars seemed colder now, distant and indifferent. Somewhere out there, tiny ships waited, daring, clever, and ready. And Lyra knew with a sinking certainty that Alindra's world would never be the same again. The battlefield was quiet now, but the silence felt heavier than the chaos of combat. Princess Lyra hovered above the debris of what had once been her fleet's offensive line. Sparks floated through the void, drifting like tiny stars against the blackness of space. Lyra's heart still raced. Her fleet had survived, but the humans had survived too. And not just survived, they had moved with precision, adapted instantly, and dodged attacks that should have destroyed them. Kyle's voice broke the silence. Princess, we need to assess the damage. The scouts left traces. Perhaps we can learn something, Lyra nodded. Pride still burned inside her. But fear had taken root too. Yes, Kale, bring up the sensors. Show me everything. The holographic display flickered to life. It showed the wreckage, the paths of her ships, and the positions the humans had taken during the battle. Lyra leaned forward, studying the movements. Each human ship had moved deliberately, never wasting energy, never making a mistake. They are too coordinated, Lyra whispered, almost to herself. It's impossible. Kale's hand rested on the console. Princess, these were just a small scout unit, not a full fleet. Imagine a larger human force with the same intelligence and tactics. We would be outmatched. Lyra's fingers clenched into fists. Just a scout unit? She repeated, her voice trembling with disbelief. All this, all the attacks, the maneuvers, they survived everything we threw at them. And it was only a scout unit? Kale looked at her, his face grave. Yes, Princess, that is the truth. Humans are not what we expected. They are clever, brave, and dangerous. Lyra's mind raced. She had always believed humans were weak, primitive, easily crushed. But now she saw the truth. Even a tiny human unit could challenge her entire fleet. And she had underestimated them. Dangerously so. Her gaze drifted to the stars where the scouts had disappeared. A chill ran down her spine. Somewhere out there, humans were waiting, watching, and planning. They were not reckless, they were calculating, learning, adapting. Lyra took a deep breath, trying to calm herself. We must know more, she said firmly. Send reconnaissance teams. Track them. Every movement, every action. We will learn their strategy before they strike again. Kale hesitated. Princess, even with reconnaissance, these humans are unpredictable. We cannot know everything they will do. Lyra's eyes flashed with determination. We must try. Pride alone cannot protect Alindra anymore. I underestimated them, and that was nearly fatal. Hours passed as the fleet scanned the surrounding space. Lyra studied every report, every trace left by the humans. Slowly, a pattern emerged. The scout unit had not moved randomly. Each maneuver, each feint had been designed to test Alindra's defenses, to probe weaknesses, and to gather information. They are learning from us, Kale said quietly. Every move we make, they adapt. Every trap we set, they avoid. They are not just fighting, they are studying us. Lyra's mind raced. We faced a small unit and barely held our ground. How many humans will it take to threaten an entire planet? Kale shook his head. Princess, we do not know. But we do know one thing: we cannot underestimate them again. Lyra clenched her jaw. Pride and fear battled inside her. She had always believed Alindra was untouchable. She had always believed humans were inferior. But now she understood the danger of arrogance. Her thoughts drifted to the human scouts she had seen. Small, fragile ships, but clever, fearless, and precise. They had survived impossible attacks, outmaneuvered her fleet, and vanished without a trace. And they were only a scout unit. The weight of realization pressed down on her. If humans could do this as scouts, what would they do as an army? Lyra's voice was quiet but firm, almost a vow. We must prepare. Alindra cannot rely on power alone. We must be smart, faster, better than ever before. And we must never underestimate humans again. Kale nodded solemnly. Yes, Princess. We will follow your orders. But be careful. Fear is a weapon humans know well, and pride can blind even the strongest. Lyra turned her gaze back to the stars, her expression unreadable. Somewhere, hidden in the darkness, the humans were waiting. Tiny ships, yes, but fearless and clever. And now, for the first time, Lyra understood the truth. Humans were not weak, and Alindra was not invincible. The princess swallowed hard. The calm confidence she had held for years had been shaken, replaced by a new resolve. She would face this threat. She would learn from it, and she would ensure Alindra survived. But as the stars stretched endlessly before her, Lyra knew one thing for certain: the real challenge had only just begun. And somewhere far away in the darkness of space, humans were already planning their next move. Days had passed since the battle with the human scout unit. Alindra's skies were calm again, but the calm was only an illusion. Princess Lyra walked through the grand corridors of the palace, her mind racing. Every thought returned to the humans. Small, clever, fearless. They had challenged her fleet, outmaneuvered her, and disappeared without leaving a trace. Kale followed quietly, careful not to disturb the princess's thoughts. Princess, he said, we have intercepted faint transmissions near the outer rim. It may be the scouts, or it may be a larger human force. Lyra froze. Her heart thumped. Show me. The holographic display flickered to life. Tiny points of light moved far away, almost invisible. Their movement was deliberate, measured. They were gathering information, probing the edges of Alindra's territory. They are not attacking, Kale observed. They are exploring, studying us, preparing. Lyra's jaw tightened. Then we will study them first. Send the reconnaissance ships. I want everything known about these humans. Every move, every tactic, every weakness. Kyle hesitated. Princess, even with all the technology, humans are unpredictable. They think differently, fight differently. We may never fully understand them. Lyra's eyes blazed. Then we must try harder. No one underestimates humans again, especially not me. The princess gathered her elite intelligence team in the war room. Maps of the galaxy floated in holographic projections, with tiny blips marking every detected human movement. Lyra studied them, her mind sharp and focused. We faced a scout unit, yes, but it was only the beginning. The humans are learning, adapting, and planning, and we must do the same. Knowledge will be our weapon now, Kale nodded. Agreed, Princess. But we must be careful. If the humans sense we are aware of them, they may act even more unpredictably. Lyra paced the room, her thoughts racing. We cannot rely on strength alone. We will use strategy, intelligence, and every resource we have. We will find them before they find us. Her eyes settled on the holographic blips. One group moved closer to a remote planet on the outer rim. Send a small team to observe, she ordered. We must see who they are. Learn everything about them. No heroics, only observation, Kale frowned. Princess, humans are cunning. Even a scout team may be more dangerous than we think. Lyra's voice was firm, unwavering. All the more reason we must know. Prepare the ships. Later, aboard a stealth reconnaissance vessel, Alindran officers watched the human scouts through high-resolution sensors. The tiny ships moved like shadows, fast and precise, almost daring the Alindrans to follow. They are too calm, one officer whispered. No fear, no mistakes. It's like they know we are watching. Lyra, observing remotely through a live feed, frowned. They are not careless. They are learning. Every move, every reaction. They are calculating. Do not underestimate them. Not for a second. The human scouts landed on a barren planet to refuel and repair. Sensors detected their activities. Quick, efficient, coordinated. Lyra's stomach tightened. These were no ordinary humans. They were disciplined, focused, and fearless. Kale's voice crackled. Princess, they are adapting. They are already using the environment to their advantage. Our knowledge alone may not be enough. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Then we will adapt faster. We will anticipate their moves. Alindra survives because we are smart, not just strong, and we will not fail. The hours stretched into days. Lyra reviewed every report, every signal intercepted from the humans. Slowly, she began to see patterns. The humans were small, yes, but brilliant. They used teamwork, intelligence, and courage in ways Alindra had never faced before. They are learning from us and teaching us, Lyra murmured. They are clever, relentless, and fearless. But Alindra will not be caught off guard again. Kale placed a hand on her shoulder. Princess, you are changing. We all are. Humans are not just a threat, they are a challenge. And challenges can make us stronger. Lyra looked at the stars, her mind already racing ahead. Somewhere out there, the humans were plotting, moving, surviving. They were tiny, fragile, and yet fearless. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper to herself. We will meet them. And when we do, Alindra will not be unprepared. But even as she spoke, a part of her could not shake the truth gnawing at her heart. This was not a simple fight. These humans were different. And the calm confidence she had always relied on was slowly giving way to something else. A mixture of respect, fear, and anticipation. The galaxy held its breath, and somewhere, far away, the human scouts continued their silent journey, watching, learning, and preparing for the moment Alindra would finally face them again. The stars seemed quiet. But Princess Lyra knew better. Humans were small, yes, but clever. They had learned from the scout unit's first encounter, adapting faster than she could predict. Alindra's fleet had grown tense, every pilot alert, every sensor active. Princess, Kale said, his voice tight with concern, the humans are moving. Their signal patterns are changing. Something is happening. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Show me. The holographic display flickered. Tiny points of light moved toward a mining colony on Alindra's outer rim, a strategic supply point for the planet's fleet. Lyra's heart sank. Humans were striking first, targeting resources, not ships. They are bold, she whispered, almost in disbelief. They dare to attack our colonies. Kyle shook his head. This is unexpected. They are too small to challenge a fleet head-on, yet they are already striking where it hurts. Lyra clenched her fists. Prepare the intercept squadron. I will lead the mission myself. We cannot let them succeed. Minutes later, Alindra's ships cut through the void, moving toward the mining colony. As they approached, sensors confirmed what Lyra feared. The human scout unit had multiplied. Not physically. Of course, these were the same tiny ships, but their movements were precise, coordinated, almost like shadows dancing around the colony. They are using hit-and-run tactics, Kale observed. Small strikes, fast retreats. They are avoiding direct confrontation. Lyra's teeth clenched. Then we will force them into confrontation. The Alindran ships opened fire, energy beams streaking through space. The humans dodged effortlessly, moving unpredictably, striking only when a weak point appeared. The colony's defenses were failing, but the human ships avoided destruction at every turn. They're faster than we expected, Kyle said, astonished. Even our best pilots are struggling to hit them. Lyra gritted her teeth. They are testing us, probing for weaknesses. We must adapt faster than they can. The battle grew intense. Explosions lit the void, debris floating like deadly stars. The humans seemed to anticipate every move. Every trap Lyra set was avoided. Every ambush failed. This is impossible, Kale shouted. They are too smart. Lyra's mind raced. She realized the humans were not just attacking. They were learning in real time, improving with every move she made. It was as if the tiny ships had a mind of their own, a single purpose driving them forward: survival, strategy, and victory. Then, one of the humans made a daring move. It slipped past the main fleet, heading straight for the colony's central energy core. Lyra's eyes widened. Stop it. Ships surged after the intruder. But the human craft vanished into a narrow asteroid belt. Seconds later, a massive explosion shook the colony. The energy core had been hit, sending a shockwave across the surface. Supplies were destroyed and the colony was crippled. Kale's voice was grim. Princess, they did it. They struck us where we were most vulnerable. Lyra's pride burned with anger. Yes, and we underestimated them again. But this ends now. We will find them. We will not let humans embarrass Elindra again. The fleet regrouped, scanning the asteroid belt where the humans had vanished. Lyra stared at the sensor readings. They are clever, yes, but they are not invincible. We will track them. Every movement, every escape route. We will learn their tactics and then we will strike. Kale nodded. Princess, this is only the beginning. Humans are small, but their boldness, it is frightening. If they are willing to strike so boldly, imagine what they could do with an entire fleet. Lyra's eyes hardened. Then we will be ready. Elindra survives not because we are strong, but because we learn, adapt, and never underestimate our enemies. And humans, they have just given us the challenge of a lifetime. She paused, looking at the stars. Somewhere out there, the tiny human ships were regrouping, planning their next move. And Lyra knew the galaxy had changed. Nothing would ever be the same. This is far from over, she whispered to herself. They were only scouts, but soon, the real fight begins. The stars stretched endlessly before her. The humans were small, yes, but bold, fearless. And Elindra had only just begun to understand the danger they posed. The destruction of the Outer Rim colony weighed heavily on Princess Lyra. Elindra had been challenged by tiny human ships, and the lesson was clear. Humans were clever, fearless, and dangerous. The fleet had regrouped, but Lyra knew they could not simply rely on brute strength anymore. She stood on the observation deck staring at the stars. Somewhere in the darkness, the human scouts were moving, planning their next strike, and Elindra had to be ready. Kale joined her, his expression grave. Princess, the Council is demanding action. They want a full-scale attack on suspected human positions. Lyra shook her head. No, that is what they expect us to do. We cannot fight humans like we fight Elindran rebels or pirates. They think differently, fight differently. We must be smarter. Kale frowned. Then what do you propose? Lyra turned to him, her eyes blazing with determination. We will lure them. Let them make the first move, learn from it, then strike. We will use strategy, patience, and deception. Elindra will survive, but only if we outthink them, not just outfight them. The next hours were tense. Elindra's fleet moved in calculated patterns, avoiding the Outer Rim while sending small scout teams to gather intelligence. Lyra personally oversaw the planning, studying every intercepted signal from the humans. They are small, yes, she said to her officers. But they are intelligent. They will adapt just as we have seen. Every trap we set must be invisible. Every move must be unpredictable. And above all, never underestimate them. One of the intelligence officers spoke up, hesitation in his voice. Princess, the humans' tactics are strange. They do not fight for glory. They fight for survival, and they are learning from us. Each encounter makes them stronger. Lyra's jaw clenched. Then we will make the next encounter count. Every human ship that moves against Elindra will face precision, strategy, and intelligence beyond anything they have seen. Days passed. Elindra's fleet remained hidden in the shadows of asteroid fields, while Lyra and Kale monitored every human signal. Slowly, a pattern began to emerge. The humans were exploring, testing weaknesses, and always moving unpredictably. They are clever, Kale said quietly, but even clever humans cannot anticipate everything. Lyra nodded. Then we will give them something to anticipate, and something they cannot escape. She summoned her top pilots and strategists. We will create a trap. A fake supply convoy will be set up as bait. The humans will be drawn in, believing they can strike again, but instead we will have a full fleet ready, hidden and waiting. When they make their move, we strike with everything. One officer hesitated. Princess, the humans may see through this. They are fearless, unpredictable. They could avoid the trap entirely. Lyra's eyes were icy with resolve. Then we will make them believe it is their victory. Every detail, every movement must appear weak, tempting. We will feed them confidence, and then take it away. The fleet moved into position. Stars twinkled around them, the darkness concealing Elindra's true strength. The fake convoy broadcasted weak signals, a perfect lure. Lyra watched, tense but calm. Hours passed. Then a faint movement appeared on the sensors. The human scouts were approaching. They had taken the bait. Lyra's lips pressed into a thin line. This was the moment of truth. They are small, but they are clever, Kale murmured. If anything goes wrong, Lyra raised her hand. We cannot fail. Elindra will not fall to a scout unit. We will adapt, we will survive, and we will prove that no human, no matter how clever, can outthink Elindra entirely. The humans moved closer, unaware of the fleet hiding in the shadows. Every officer held their breath, every sensor alive with anticipation. The calm before the storm stretched through the void. Lyra's mind raced. This was more than a battle. It was a test of strategy, patience, and intelligence. And she could feel it. The final confrontation was drawing near. Somewhere the human scouts were watching, learning, and preparing. But Elindra had learned too. And this time, Lyra would make sure the next encounter would not be one-sided. The stars held their silence. The galaxy waited. And somewhere in the dark, tiny human ships moved forward, unaware of the storm that was about to fall upon them. The stars were quiet, but tension crackled in the void. Elindra's fleet remained hidden, every ship ready, every weapon poised. Princess Lyra's heart beat steadily. This was it, the moment she had prepared for. The humans had taken the bait. They are moving into the trap, Kyle said, his voice tight. They think the convoy is unprotected. Lyra's eyes narrowed. Good, let them believe it. Let them grow confident. The smaller they think we are, the greater their mistake will be. The human scouts appeared on sensors, tiny dots moving with precision, their small fleet seeming almost fearless. Elindra's hidden ships waited silently, cloaked in darkness. The void was calm, but the calm was only temporary. Princess, if they detect us, Kale began, but Lyra cut him off. They won't. Trust in the plan. Trust in strategy. The humans drew closer to the fake convoy. They struck first, their small ships darting in and out, sabotaging the decoy supplies. Their movements were swift, almost playful in their boldness. Yet, unseen by them, Elindra's main fleet began to close in, surrounding the tiny human unit from every side. Lyra watched through the command viewport, her mind sharp and alert. Hold fire. Let them overextend. Patience. Timing is everything. One of the human ships moved toward the center of the convoy, preparing to disable it entirely. Sensors tracked every motion. Lyra felt her pulse quicken, not from fear but from anticipation. They are learning. Adapting again, Kale muttered. Even in the trap they adjust, Lyra nodded. Yes, that is why we must be perfect. One mistake and they may slip through again. And then it began. Elindra's fleet struck with synchronized precision. Energy beams lit the darkness, moving in controlled waves, cutting off escape routes. The humans reacted instantly, darting between asteroids, avoiding the brunt of the attack. Yet even their clever maneuvers were anticipated, every path they took leading deeper into the trap. One ship tried to break through a flank. Another moved to aid it, but Elindra's fleet was ready. Net-like energy barriers blocked their paths, and slowly the humans were contained. They are smaller, but their courage is immense, Kale said, awe in his voice. They fight as if nothing can touch them. Lyra's lips pressed together. Courage alone is not enough. They are clever, but the galaxy does not bend to bravery alone. We must combine strategy with strength, and that is what Elindra will do. The human scouts fought valiantly. Every strike they made was precise, every retreat calculated. They were fast, fearless, and cunning, forcing Elindra's ships to react constantly. Yet they could not escape the slow tightening of the trap. Lyra realized something crucial. Humans were not just small, they were unpredictable. They fought in ways Elindra had never seen, but she also knew their limit. Humans could only act within the laws of physics and the reality of their tiny ships. Time to end this, she whispered. Kale, initiate Phase 2. Massive energy nets fired across the battlefield, closing gaps, cutting off escape paths. The humans found themselves surrounded, their boldness tested against overwhelming numbers. For the first time, fear flickered across the small ship's sensors. Yet even trapped, the humans did not surrender. They attacked with everything they had, daring Elindra to strike. Their courage was remarkable, their intelligence clear in every move. Lyra smiled faintly. Impressive. But Elindra adapts faster. Minutes felt like hours. Explosions rocked the void. Energy beams crisscrossed the battlefield. Elindra's ships moved like one organism, calculated, precise, coordinated. The humans fought desperately, but the trap held, slowly tightening. And then one human ship broke formation, risking everything to strike directly at the command vessel. Kale shouted, "Princess! They're targeting us." Lyra's mind raced. "Divert defenses. Let them come. We expected this. The moment they expose themselves fully, we finish it." The ship approached, daring, fearless, tiny against the massive Ilindran flagship. It collided with a diversion force, barely avoiding destruction. The audacity stunned everyone watching, but it also exposed the humans' position completely. "Now," Lyra ordered. Ilindra's fleet moved in unison, cutting off the final escape routes. The humans were surrounded, their boldness exhausted against Ilindra's superior strategy. The tiny ships had fought bravely, but survival alone could not outmatch preparation, intelligence, and overwhelming force. As the dust settled, sensors confirmed the humans were immobilized, captured, or retreating into the shadows. Ilindra's fleet had won. Not by luck, not by size, but by careful planning, patience, and unyielding intelligence. Lyra stood on the observation deck, her expression calm but proud. They were fearless, clever, and dangerous, but Ilindra survives because we learn, we adapt, and we never underestimate anyone. Kale nodded. "Princess, their courage was remarkable. I have never seen ships so small fight so boldly." Lyra looked at the stars, thinking of the humans somewhere out there. This is far from over, but Ilindra is ready. And next time, we will be even stronger. The galaxy stretched endlessly, filled with possibilities and dangers. Humans were clever, but Ilindra had learned their lesson. The clash had ended, but the story was not finished. Somewhere in the dark, the humans were regrouping, waiting for